Okay. Hello. So this is a attempt at a comprehensive guide at how to do this boss fight without any of the really overpowered items. No Great Fairy Sword or Fierce Deity. This will cover as many situations as possible, ideally. I'm using a glitchless any % save state for this, but this will... I'll go over strats for this category and all dungeons restricted. Both of those categories have overlap, and also the any % NMG fight, which is on English. I am playing on Japanese, but if I say something is for the NMG category, then you can apply it to that. Let me reload this fight first. Oh, it's already spawned in. Okay. I think if I do this, this should work. Okay. So you always want to... So starting out, depending on what strat you want to do, you can either go in with human or Zora. You want to get these drops, and I'll display the Zora strat first. And I'll make one for human here as well. So the Zora strat can be used if you don't want to use the human strat with the bow for this phase at the start. And all you're gonna do is hold forward and get the Zora fins out. And then switch over to human and pull a bomb after shooting the light arrow. And do the same thing, switch back. I like to look for when the bomb starts quickly flashing to know when to throw it. Same as before, prep your Zorangs and just rinse and repeat. And something worth noting, sometimes your Zora fins will either clank or miss or just do a whole bunch of nothing, and you'll have to start improvising on what is going to happen with the mask phase. If you're playing ADR or any % NMG, this usually amounts to just waiting until you get an opportunity to shoot at the fins again. I should make the save state here after the fight starts. So I'll go over it again. And try to illustrate my point, either by actually missing or just doing nothing. So same as before, you want to do the strat. Throw out the Zora fins. Switch over to your light arrows. Pull the bomb. When it starts flashing fast, throw it. Do you note sometimes your light arrow will go straight through and there's not really anything you can do about it except wait for the mask to go up. So restun over here. You want to be careful getting Majora onto this altar pedestal thing. If it lands up there while getting stunned, there's not really much you can do about it. So yeah, same as before, shoot the light arrow, throw the bomb when it fast flashes. But let's say you miss hitting this Zora Fang, then what do you do? So, usually the Majora will do one of two things. It's either this, and you really don't want to get hit by this as Zora. Having this hit you as Zora will restart the fight because you'll void out. And you can pretty easily avoid this by just sidewalking. And yeah, you really just want to try and get this stun out immediately. This is the ideal thing that Majora does, is they start spinning. Then you can get another stun in. And then you can set up as normal. But if you have Mirror Shield, something you can do, this is pretty much only applicable to glitchless, is you can just reflect this beam back and then try getting another stun back. This is not a good spot for a stun. Yeah, this is a thing you want to try to avoid actively. So yeah, if you have the Mirror Shield, you can try to reflect the laser back at Majora, and that's a really good strat. This only applies to glitchless because you have the Mirror Shield, unfortunately. Oh my... Well, see, like, that's a thing that could happen too. These remains... So yeah, you can do that if you have Mirror Shield. Very, underutilized tech when playing glitchless, I think. It's a very nice backup to have. So let's say you don't want to use Zora, and you want to try and save a little bit of time. This strat is a little bit faster, using the bow to stun immediately from the start of the fight. So the very start of this is important. You're going to be mashing your light arrows here, and you're going to hold target and up until this frame. This frame here, the first frame, when the camera fully pans out behind Link, you can let go of everything. You'll go for a jump slash, pull another bomb, and then do the same thing as before. So I'll do that again here. That's 2 frames, or 1 or 2 frames too far, so this is gonna miss. I think you only have 1 frame for this, so you really want to be making sure you're only advancing 1 frame at a time. So this frame again, I'm just holding up here. Can roll forward, quick draw, get my bomb out in the jump slash. And then to continue this strat, because this mainly saves time for cutting out transforms, you can walk up to Majora here during this initial cutscene, aim up, and get a quick stun behind the shot, or behind the mask. This is pretty precise, but it saves probably about 10 or so seconds. So if you want to save a little bit of extra time on this phase, cutting out all of the transforms, then you can go ahead and try this strat. It's a little bit hard, especially this part here, with getting the restun after the cutscene. So like sometimes depending on your positioning, it'll just be a lot harder to hit this shot. But like, let's say if you do miss that, you can just equip Zora Mask Also, something to note that just happened. These remains... Something to keep in mind during this fight. These remains are actively trying to shoot you with these light balls, whatever. If you keep your back to them and try to keep them unloaded, they usually will not try to shoot you unless they're pretty much right on top of you. So something to keep in mind when playing this fight out is you always want to try to keep these guys off screen, essentially, so you don't get harassed. But yeah, if you don't feel like going for this shot, you can just switch to Zora immediately instead of trying it, and then just do the same thing. And something else, if you don't have bombs for some reason, you can immediately just re-equip Zora Mask. Prep your Zora fins, and on the way up, just release B. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can do this. Alright, I have 2 separate save states now made for this incarnation phase. I'll go over the human strat first for this fight, since I'm human right now. I'm gonna make a save state here, and ideally, as soon as the fight starts, you can try to get a stun on this fight, on this boss, by inputting a quick spin out of the cutscene, just by rotating the stick and mashing B. Looks like I'm in a good spot for it, but it's pretty much RNG if you can get it or not. So if you don't get the, like, this is a pretty normal situation to have happen. So if you don't end up getting it, what you want to do is either, if you have bombs, immediately pull a bomb and drop it here in the center of the room. For some reason, putting a bomb right here in the middle of this flower will immediately make Incarnation fall over and stun. That's really good to keep in mind in case something goes wrong, because you can just immediately pull a bomb and just walk to the center of the room. Yeah, be mindful of also these remains getting targeted. That can be really annoying. If you have arrows, though, ideally you don't have any magic left from the mask phase, but you can also stun with arrows. Yeah, so the main part of this fight is really just kind of reacting to what Majora is doing, and honestly holding shield a lot. In case... There's a lot of things Incarnation does in this fight that is pretty harmless, but there's this one attack I'll try to get Majora to do it. It's this one attack, I think it's the only attack it does where it will actually retaliate and try to hit you. It's this wave of energy balls, and you kind of just want to... I think the best success I've had with this is just sidewalking out of the way, or side hopping. Let me see if I can get it without the remains shooting me. Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's a lot of running around in this fight. Yeah, ideally you have no magic for this fight, so you can just shoot a really quick arrow, so you don't have to go through the cutscene of watching the magic arrow light up. Yeah, a lot of what Majora does is pretty harmless, so you don't have to worry about taking too much damage unless Incarnation does the attack that I mentioned earlier. Yeah, that thing is very obnoxious, and you can pretty easily get caught in just a loop of taking a ton of damage. That also deals a full hurt, I believe. So, if you're playing on the Japanese version, so this would be relevant for any percent glitchless or all dungeons restricted. You're gonna want to take advantage of something called power crouch stab. So you're gonna equip the stick. Let's get incarnation stunned here. Store the jump slash. And just start crouch stabbing. And yeah, this is a very normal part of this fight, just kind of getting harassed. Yeah, once you get this restun, just finish off with more crouch stabs. I can try to illustrate a strat here with timing a bomb pull to immediately get this stun again. That was not well timed, by the way. There is a timing on this bomb pull where you can overlap it with Majora standing up, and that will essentially just restun immediately. And then you can just immediately get a quick kill off that. Yeah, power crouch stab makes this fight very, very trivial once you get the actual stun down. Okay, that's a little too late still, so probably after like one flash. And sometimes you are just gonna get hit during this fight. Like that. If you can get that to happen with this power crouch stab strat, then Majora kind of just melts. Yeah, so that's the ideal situation. So let me go over something else really quick. So now I'm going to go over the strat for that you would do on the English version, since you don't have power crouch stab, and something else you can go for if you already have the Zora mask equipped. If you have Zora mask going into this phase equipped already, you can hold shield and B like this. That's pretty lucky. You can get lucky and get an immediate stun here, and that can save some time depending on if you can immediately like just keep the stun loop going. What we're gonna do with this English strat is essentially try to stun loop incarnation forever once it gets knocked down. And there's two main ways of doing that. So let me restun here. This is a very convenient save state to have for this. But you're gonna draw your sword, get up close and target so you don't actually lock on to incarnation, and you're going to chain a jump slash with a quick spin immediately. So the jump slash animation ideally gets cancelled after landing the hit, and then you quick spin and you time all of these to keep incarnation stunned forever. So it'll look something like this, not like that. And beware of the remains targeting as well, like I said earlier. A backflip, jump slash. So let me redo that again. So, draw your sword. So yeah, you saw that I missed a quick spin there. That's still okay. If you can immediately get this stun going, you can keep it going as long as you don't try to swing at the wrong time. Oh, that's just unlucky. So there's some visual and audio cues you can use for this. If I'm keeping the stun loop going, I'm immediately trying to listen for the cries that Majora makes. At the end of it making this sound of it crying when it gets hit, at the end of it from the quick spin is when I immediately try to input another jump slash to repeat the stun loop. And sometimes you may get pushed out of position. That's why it's super important to fit in the middle between Majora's legs here. And if this happens, this is okay. You can just reset it up. But let's say you missed the quick spin. Very real possibility here. There's this animation that Majora does where it starts jumping around here. If you look at it, this is what I use at least. I don't know about anyone else, but feel free to experiment. But what I use here is during this jumping animation is hopping between both of its legs. When its right foot hits the ground twice is when I want to try and input another jump slash to re-get this stun loop going. So let me try and illustrate that here. So I'm gonna jump slash, not quick spin. Yeah, that was too early. So if Majora gets hit but doesn't go down, it means you attacked too early. So you can do this too, if you so choose. It's a little harder. I definitely recommend learning the quick spins too for it. But if you fail the quick spin, this can be used as a backup to restart the cycle. Like this. Okay, so that's about everything I've had to say for Incarnation. Now we're moving on to final phase of the fight, Wrath. And I'll go over the Japanese strats first. So, something important to note, light arrows will always hit Majora, no matter what. But usually when you play this fight out with anything else, Majora will try to jump away if you are shooting in between its attacks. So if it's not using its whip attacks, it will try to actively jump away from your bow shots. But if you have light arrows, you can kind of ignore that and just shoot immediately. So it's a really good strat to have light arrows equipped immediately. So, I'm gonna go over this initial phase on the Japanese version. So you're gonna equip Deku Stick and topple the bomb and hopefully not get shot. You're gonna stun with light arrows, jump slash, and crouch stab 10 times. This is probably the most straightforward phase, assuming nothing goes wrong, but things can go wrong. That is the nature of this fight, is many things can go wrong. So, usually the bomb is used to try and reposition Majora in a better spot away from the remains. Just like this. So yeah, if you have bombs to spare, definitely using them on this phase is a good thing, in my opinion. Just to try and get all the remains off screen. There is something you can do immediately. It's not that. That's pretty unlucky. If you're trying to push your luck, you can immediately stun in the middle of the room. I don't know if I have crouch step stored here. Let's see. Oh, I don't. Yeah, I don't. Okay, so that's another strat you can go for if you are playing on the Japanese version. Where you just immediately shoot at Majora. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to get Deku Sticks out. Yeah, Zora at this point isn't totally useless. If you have no arrows left, you can use Zora Mask. But you want to time your Zora fins here when Majora does something. So, let me see here if I can get a whip attack. Yeah, you can use Zora if you don't have any arrows left to try and get a stun out. So yeah, wait for an attack and then switch back to human. And then do what you gotta do. That was too close. So you want to make sure to not be too close before jump slashing if you have to. And there's a timing to these crouch stabs as well. You can't really spam these. If you go too fast or too slow, then Majora will get away. And beware of that too. This is the reason this strat is, in my opinion, not the most ideal. Shooting in the center of the room like that. Because you can just get hit by the remains and you may not take damage. The shield recoil from the projectile as they shoot out will just interrupt your crouch stab timing and stagger you, and you won't be able to get another crouch stab out to get the kill. So the Japanese strat is pretty easy, I would say, as long as you don't mess it up. The whole idea for this phase is absolutely to not mess up, because okay, nice camera. Let's say you do mess up. Oh yeah, also always shield if you get hit once, you pretty much always want to shield immediately, because the whip will re-stun you, and there's not much you can do about it. So let's say you mess up the crouch stabs. As the fight progresses, as Majora takes more damage, Majora starts using more attacks, pretty aggressively too, actually. So like let's do 5. Let's see what Majora starts doing. There's one like really aggressive whipping attack where it just like hits you from across the screen, and it can also grab you like that. This attack is really obnoxious. You don't want this to happen. And then here's the aggressive one. I can't do anything. Yeah, this grab, as far as I'm concerned, is just sometimes unblockable, and you can get grabbed like this. Yeah, you really don't want that to happen. There's really not much you can do about that. Sometimes your shield will protect you, but I would not count on it. I would absolutely not count on your shield protecting you from these grabs. And then the flailing attack with the spam is kind of just self-explanatory, just you're getting hit a lot. This taunt is weird. I got hit from the side. Yeah, you really don't want to drop your crouch stab. That is like probably the worst case scenario and how you'll probably lose a PB, to be honest. So let's see here. Normal attack. Trying to bait me into do something. This is generally like kind of whatever. Especially with light arrows. Having light arrows to just restun whenever you want is really convenient for this fight. Yeah, this attack. This is nothing you can do about that. Yeah, sometimes you can show this grab. That was a grab attempt just now by Majora. You'll know because Majora won't make any noise when throwing its whip out. Like that. Yes, I guess sidewalking with shield can protect you, it seems like. But, yeah, you really don't want to mess that up. So, there's one more attack that Majora does. Do enough damage. And it's gonna be in the form of spinning pops. This is another case of you really don't want to mess up. Because these will home in on you. And on top of dealing with getting homed in on by heat-seeking Beyblades, you'll start getting grabbed and shot by the remains. And it becomes very chaotic very fast. But you can see it coming right at me here. Yeah, these things are very annoying, and it's usually a signal that you're pretty close to killing. So I think, in my opinion, the best strat is immediately to just stun and just get over there as fast as possible. And try to not die. Yeah, even though this is not the hardest phase, in my opinion, I think this is one that a lot of people should practice the most, because it can go very wrong very fast if you're not locked in. But yeah, using bombs to reposition. You can also bait Majora into doing a like spin attack at this mid-range distance, like this, if you don't have any ways of getting Majora to move. You can also, if you really want to, you can equip normal arrows and try to move Majora this way as well. So if I shoot an arrow right now, it'll move out of the way. But if I wait, then I can get the stun here too. If you really want, if you don't have any bombs, you can use arrows as well to try and reposition Majora. There's a lot of ways of playing this fight. Now, I'm gonna go over the strat you would do on the English version of this game. And this strat is a little more involved. It's still the same concept of getting Majora away from the center of the room. You absolutely cannot do the strat in the middle of the room. So, you're gonna get Majora to jump away, and hopefully not get shot by remains. So, spin away to the back. Yeah, this is good. So you're gonna stun and draw your sword, and you're gonna walk up to pretty close to Majora and see up. So this is to prevent the camera from Tattle rather, from locking on to Majora, and you're going to chain 20 jump slashes in a row, or optimally you can do 19 in a quick spin to end on. And the way this is done is mainly to, while also preserving the ability to jump slash, it's also to lock the camera so you don't have the remains shooting behind you. So I'm gonna throw this bomb. This is fine. Probably gonna stay, yeah. Alright, so stun, get the sword out, C up, target, and start just timing these jump slashes. And you want to practice this for sure, that strat. Going too fast on your jump slash cancels can let Majora escape the loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and a quick spin. You can put in another jump slash there if you want, if it's a little bit easier for you. The quick spin only saves some amount of frames that I'm not totally sure on. But yeah, I think of the 3 phases, this is the one that's most likely to go wrong. It's very fast-paced. But with enough practice, this can be, I don't want to say consistent, because the remains will always exist, but you can get good enough at this to capitalize on most of the RNG that Majora can offer. But yeah, that's what I would say is the bulk of this fight. This fight is really not easy. This is a really hard fight if you don't have things like Fierce Deity Mask or Great Fairy Sword, so it's definitely important to practice this fight. It's, I would say, probably one of the hardest parts of any speedrun in this game is fighting Majora. Just because, like, there's so many variables and things that can happen. Like, no 2 fights between a run will ever be the same. So it's all about just practicing and getting familiar with all of Majora's attacks and situations and where you can ideally get these restuns or knockdowns and getting it the quickest kill possible. If you have any questions, you can join the Discord, and yeah, that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching, and good luck.